So, you've been asking for it, and here it is. The ultimate gaming PC build guide for 2025. We're diving deep into the components you should be looking at right now to build a machine that's not just powerful today, but is built to last. The goal here is pretty simple. Maximum performance, smart choices, and a look towards the future, all while staying within a pretty reasonable budget. We're targeting that sweet spot, right under 1.5 lakh rupees, which comes out to roughly $2,000. It's a significant investment for sure, but it's one that should get you a top-tier gaming experience for years to come. This isn't just about slapping together the most expensive parts. Anyone can do that. This build is about balance. It's about finding that perfect synergy between components to unlock the best possible performance for your money. We're talking high frame rates at 1440p, solid entry into 4K gaming, and the multitasking muscle to handle anything else you throw at it, whether that's streaming, content creation, or just a dozen browser tabs. The key word for this build is optimized. Every part has been chosen for a specific reason, contributing to a cohesive and powerful whole. We're also thinking about the long game here, what I like to call future-proofing, or maybe more accurately, future resistance. Technology moves fast, we all know that, but making smart choices today can save you from needing a complete overhaul in a year or two. We're looking at platforms with upgrade paths, components that support next-gen standards, and enough headroom to accommodate more demanding games and software as they're released. So, grab a notepad, let's break it all down and build a truly ultimate gaming PC for 2025. Alright, first up, and arguably the most important decision you'll make is the CPU. This is the core of your entire system, the brain that dictates how fast everything else can run, especially in gaming. For this build, we're looking at two incredible options, and which one you choose really depends on what you prioritize. On one hand, we've got the Intel Core i7 14700K. This thing is an absolute workhorse, a beast when it comes to both gaming and productivity. The 14700K comes with a hybrid architecture, meaning it has a mix of performance cores and efficient cores. This is a huge advantage if you do more than just game. If you're streaming your gameplay, editing videos, or running a bunch of applications in the background, those extra E-cores really come in clutch. They handle the background tasks seamlessly, leaving the powerful P-cores to focus purely on your game, which translates to smoother, more consistent frame rates. It's a fantastic all-around chip that doesn't compromise on gaming prowess. Intel has a reputation for strong single-core performance, and that's still a critical metric for a lot of games. The high clock speeds on the 14700K mean it can chew through any gaming workload you throw at it. It's a chip that just feels fast and responsive in everything you do. You're getting a ton of performance for the price, and it sits on a mature platform with plenty of motherboard options, which we'll get into later. It's a safe, powerful, and incredibly versatile choice for the heart of your new rig. On the other side of the ring, we have the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Now this CPU is a different kind of animal. It has one mission and one mission only, to be the fastest gaming CPU on the planet. And honestly, it pretty much succeeds. The secret sauce here is AMD's 3DV cache technology. They've essentially stacked a huge amount of L3 cache directly on top of the processor die, and the results are just kind of magical. This massive cache gives the CPU incredibly fast access to game data, which dramatically reduces latency and boosts frame rates in a huge number of titles, especially at 1080p and 1440p, where the CPU can often be the bottleneck. If your primary 99% use case for this PC is gaming, the 7800X3D is almost impossible to beat. It might not have the same raw multi-core horsepower for productivity tasks as the 14700K, but in the world of pure gaming, it's the reigning champion. The choice really comes down to this. Are you a gamer who also creates, streams, and multitasks heavily? The Intel i7 14700K is probably your chip. It offers a phenomenal balance of world-class gaming performance and top-tier productivity muscle. The sheer number of cores and threads makes it an incredibly flexible and powerful CPU that can handle literally anything you can throw at it without breaking a sweat. It's the jack of all trades and master of, well, pretty much all of them. But if you are a pure, unadulterated gamer and every single frame per second matters to you, the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D is the clear winner. The performance uplift you see in games from that 3DV cache is real and measurable. It's a specialist chip built for one purpose. Plus, it's incredibly power efficient for the performance it delivers, which means it's easier to cool and can lead to a quieter system overall. Ultimately, you can't go wrong with either one. They are both top-of-the-line processors that will serve you well for years to come. For this 2025 build, they represent the pinnacle of what's possible within our budget. It's a classic battle of the well-rounded powerhouse versus the gaming specialist. For me, the slight edge for pure gaming goes to the 7800X3D, but the 14700K is so close and so much better at everything else that it's a genuine toss-up. Your call. Now for the fun part, the component that makes your games look stunning, the graphics card or GPU. This is where a huge chunk of our budget is going, and for good reason. The GPU does the heavy lifting for rendering all the beautiful pixels on your screen. Just like with the CPU, we have two main contenders here from Team Green and Team Red, the NVIDIA RTX 4070 Super and the AMD Radeon RX 7900 GRE. Let's start with the NVIDIA RTX 4070 Super. This card is, in my opinion, the new king of 1440p gaming. It's a significant step up from the original 4070, offering more cores and performance that brings it tantalizingly close to the more expensive RTX 4070 Ti. For anyone with a high refresh rate 1440p monitor, this card is the dream. You'll be able to max out the settings in virtually any current game and still enjoy incredibly smooth high frame rates. But the story with NVIDIA is always more than just raw performance. It's about the feature set. You get DLSS 3, which includes super resolution for upscaling and frame generation. Frame generation is the real game changer here, using AI to insert new frames and dramatically boost your FPS, making even the most demanding ray-traced games feel incredibly fluid. Speaking of which, NVIDIA still holds the crown for ray tracing performance. If you love those realistic lighting effects and reflections, the 4070 Super is the superior choice. The card is also incredibly power efficient for the performance it delivers. The Ada Lovelace architecture is a marvel of engineering, sipping power compared to previous generations and even its current competitors. This means less heat dumped into your case, which makes cooling easier and can lead to a quieter overall system. For a well-rounded, feature-rich experience that excels at 1440p and can even handle some 4K gaming, the 4070 Super is a fantastic future-proof option. Now let's talk about the AMD Radeon RX 7900 GRE, which stands for Golden Rabbit Edition, believe it or not. This card is a bit of a wild card, but a very compelling one. It's essentially a slightly trimmed version of the higher-end RX 7900 XT, but it comes with a much more attractive price tag. In terms of raw rasterization performance, that is, gaming without ray tracing, this card often trades blows with and can even beat the 4070 Super. The big advantage for the 7900 GRE is its VRAM. It comes with 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory compared to the 12 gigabytes on the 4070 Super. As games get more complex and textures get more detailed, especially as you push into 4K resolution, that extra VRAM can make a real difference. It provides more headroom and can prevent stutters or performance dips in VRAM-heavy titles, making it arguably a more future-proof card from a memory perspective. AMD has its own upscaling tech, FSR or Fidelity FX Super Resolution, which is open source and works on almost any GPU, but it's generally considered not quite as polished as NVIDIA's DLSS. And while AMD's ray tracing performance has improved dramatically with the RDNA 3 architecture, it still lags behind what NVIDIA offers. So the choice becomes about what you value more in your gaming experience. So, here's the breakdown. If you want the best-in-class features, superior ray tracing performance, and the magic of DLSS 3 frame generation, the NVIDIA RTX 4070 Super is your card. It's the complete package for a premium 1440p experience. However, if you're more focused on raw, traditional gaming performance and want that extra VRAM for longevity and pushing 4K textures, the AMD RX 7900 GRE offers incredible value and horsepower for the money. It's a true rasterization beast. The motherboard is the central nervous system of your PC. It's the foundation that connects every single component, and choosing the right one is crucial for stability, performance, and future upgrade options. It might not give you more frames per second directly, but a bad motherboard can definitely hold your system back. Depending on which CPU you chose in Chapter 1, you'll be looking at either a Z790 board for Intel or a B650 board for AMD. Let's start with the Intel side. If you went with the i7-14700K, you'll need a motherboard with an LGA 1700 socket, and a Z790 chipset board is the ideal match. The Z chipset is Intel's top-tier offering for consumers, and the key feature it unlocks is CPU overclocking. While the 14700K is already incredibly fast out of the box, having the ability to push it even further for some free performance down the line is a huge plus for enthusiasts. But it's more than just overclocking. Z790 boards are typically built with higher quality components. You'll want to look for a board with robust VRMs, or voltage regulator modules. These are the components that deliver clean, stable power to the CPU. A powerful chip like the 14700K needs a good power delivery system to perform at its peak, especially if you plan to overclock. A board with a hefty heatsink over the VRMs is a must-have for thermal management. Z790 boards also come packed with the latest connectivity features. You'll get support for superfast DDR5 RAM, which we'll talk about next, as well as PCIe 5.0. While PCIe 5.0 GPUs and SSDs are still emerging, having a motherboard that supports the standard means you're ready for the next generation of components without needing a full platform swap. It's a key part of that future resistance we're aiming for. Now, if you opted for the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D, you'll be looking for a motherboard with an AM5 socket. For our budget and performance target, a B650 chipset board is the perfect sweet spot. Unlike with Intel, AMD allows for CPU overclocking on their B-series chipsets, so you're not losing out on that core feature. B650 boards offer a fantastic balance of features and price. Much like the Z790 boards, quality B650 motherboards will have strong VRMs to handle the power demands of modern Ryzen CPUs. The 7800X3D is actually very power efficient, so it doesn't require the most overbuilt power delivery, but it's still good practice to choose a board with decent VRMs and cooling to ensure long-term stability and health for your components. You don't need to go for the most expensive option, but don't cheap out here either. The AM5 platform, which includes B650 boards, also brings DDR5 and PCIe 5.0 support as standard. This is a huge leap forward for AMD and puts the platform on the cutting edge. One of the biggest selling points for AMD's AM5 platform is their commitment to socket longevity. AMD has a great track record of supporting their sockets for multiple generations of CPUs, meaning in a few years, you could likely drop in a new Ryzen CPU without needing to change your motherboard or RAM. Regardless of which platform you choose, look for the essentials. At least one PCIe 5.0 x16 slot for the GPU, at least one M2 slot that's PCIe 4.0 or faster for your main SSD, 4 DIMM slots for RAM, and a good selection of USB ports on the rear I/O. A board with built-in Wi-Fi 6E and 2.5 gigabit Ethernet is also a huge plus for modern connectivity. The motherboard is your PC's backbone. Choose one that's strong and flexible. Let's talk about RAM, or random access memory. Think of it as your computer's short-term memory, or its workspace. The more complex the task, like running a modern high-fidelity game, the more workspace your PC needs. For a high-end gaming build in 2025, the new standard is DDR5, and the capacity we're aiming for is a solid 32 gigabytes. Why 32 gigabytes? Not too long ago, 16 gigabytes was considered the sweet spot for gaming, and honestly, for many games, it still is. However, we're seeing a clear trend where new AAA titles are becoming more and more memory-hungry. Games like Starfield, Alan Wake 2, or heavily modded versions of titles like Cyberpunk 2077 can easily push past that 16 gigabyte mark, especially at higher resolutions and texture settings. Going with 32 gigabytes gives you a ton of headroom. It ensures that your games have all the memory they need, which helps prevent stuttering and those annoying performance issues caused by the system having to constantly swap data with your much slower SSD. It also means you can comfortably run other applications in the background without impacting your gaming performance. Want to have Discord, a web browser with a bunch of tabs, and your music app open while gaming? With 32 gigabytes, that's no problem at all. It's not just about the capacity though. The speed of your RAM is also critically important. especially with the new DDR5 standard. For this build, we're specifically targeting a kit of DDR5 6000 MHz. This speed is widely considered the sweet spot for both Intel's 14th gen and AMD's Ryzen 7000 series platforms. It offers a fantastic balance of performance, stability, and price. For AMD Ryzen 7000 series CPUs in particular, 6000 MHz is often the ideal target because it allows the memory controller to run in a perfect 1-to-1 sync ratio, which minimizes latency and maximizes performance. You'll also want to look at the timings of the RAM kit, specifically the CAS latency, or CL. A lower CL number is better. A kit of DDR5 6000 with a CL of 30, often written as CL30, is a fantastic target for a high-performance build. When you install your RAM, make sure you buy it as a single kit of 2 sticks, like a 2x16 GB kit, rather than 2 separate 16 GB sticks. Kits are tested to work together perfectly. And most importantly, remember to enable the XMP for Intel or Expo for AMD profile in your motherboard's BIOS. This is a one-click setting that automatically overclocks your RAM to its advertised speed. If you forget this step, your expensive 6000 MHz RAM will run at a much slower default speed. So, to recap the RAM situation, we're going with 32 GB to ensure we have plenty of capacity for today's and tomorrow's games. This provides a smooth experience and allows for effortless multitasking. We're specifically choosing a fast kit of DDR5 6000 MHz with low latency, as this is the performance sweet spot for both platforms we're considering. Investing in a good quality, high-speed 32 GB kit of DDR5 RAM is one of the most straightforward ways to make sure your high-end CPU and GPU are being fed data as quickly as possible. It removes a potential bottleneck and contributes to a snappier, more responsive system overall. Don't overlook the importance of fast, high-capacity memory in a modern gaming rig. It's honestly a crucial piece of the performance puzzle. Alright, let's talk about storage. This is where all your games, your operating system, and all your files live. Long gone are the days of slow mechanical hard drives being the primary storage for a gaming PC. In 2025, a fast NVMe SSD isn't just a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. For this build, we're recommending at least a 1TB NVMe Gen 4 SSD. The biggest impact of an NVMe SSD is speed, specifically load times. We've all been there, staring at a loading screen for what feels like an eternity. With a Gen 4 NVMe drive, those loading screens in games like Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk 2077 are reduced to mere seconds. It's a massive quality of life improvement that you'll notice every single time you boot up your PC or launch a game. This speed also translates to a snappier experience across the entire operating system. Windows boots up in a flash, applications open instantly, and even installing games is significantly faster. Technologies like Microsoft's Direct Storage are also becoming more prevalent, which allows the GPU to directly access game assets from the NVMe SSD, bypassing the CPU. This can lead to even faster loading and more detailed, expansive game worlds with less pop-in. So why a Gen 4 drive specifically? PCIe Gen 4 offers roughly double the theoretical speed of the previous Gen 3 standard. While you might not always see that full doubling in real-world game loading, it provides significant headroom for the future as games and technologies like direct storage become more optimized to take advantage of that bandwidth. With prices for Gen 4 drives becoming so competitive, there's really no reason not to choose one for a new build. Now let's talk about capacity. We're recommending 1TB as a starting point. Modern AAA games are huge. It's not uncommon for a single game to take up 100 GB, 150 GB, or even more with all its DLC and high-resolution texture packs. A 1TB drive gives you enough space for your operating system, your essential applications, and a healthy rotation of your favorite big-budget games without constantly having to uninstall something to make room. Of course, storage is one of the easiest things to expand later. Most motherboards we're looking at have at least 2 or 3 M2 slots. You could start with a 1TB drive for your OS and most played games, and then easily add a second 2TB or even 4TB NVMe drive down the line specifically for your Steam library. Prices are always falling, so this is a great upgrade path. When choosing your 1TB Gen 4 drive, you don't necessarily need the absolute fastest chart-topping model. For gaming, the difference between a high-end Gen 4 drive and a good mid-range one is often negligible in terms of load times. Look for a reputable brand like Samsung, Crucial, WD, or Sabrent, and check reviews for sustained performance and reliability. A drive with a DRAM cache is generally preferable as it helps with performance during heavy, sustained writes. In summary, a 1TB NVMe Gen 4 SSD is the baseline for a premium gaming experience in 2025. It delivers lightning-fast load times, makes your entire system feel more responsive, and prepares you for next-generation gaming technologies. It's a component that fundamentally changes how it feels to use your computer, and once you experience it, you'll never want to go back to anything slower. We've picked all the exciting high-performance parts. Now we need to power them. The power supply unit, or PSU, is one of the most overlooked components in a PC build, but it's one of the most critical. Skimping on the PSU is a recipe for disaster. A bad one can be inefficient, noisy, and in the worst-case scenario, it can fail and take other components with it. For this powerful build, we're recommending a high-quality 750-watt 80-plus gold-rated modular PSU. Let's break down what that means. The wattage, 750 watts in this case, is the total amount of power the unit can supply. Both the Intel and NVIDIA and AMD combinations we've discussed will run comfortably on this. A quick calculation shows that even under full load, the system will likely draw around 450 to 550 watts. So why 750 watts? It's all about headroom and efficiency. Power supplies are most efficient when they're operating at around 50 to 60% of their maximum rated load. Running a 750-watt PSU in that range means it will be operating at its peak efficiency, which translates to less wasted energy, less heat generated, and often quieter operation because the fan doesn't have to spin as fast. This headroom also gives you room for future upgrades. Want to drop in a more powerful GPU in a few years? You'll likely have the power budget to do so without needing to replace your PSU. Next is the efficiency rating, 80 plus gold. This is a certification that guarantees the PSU is at least 87% efficient at 100% load and 90% efficient at 50% load. A gold rating is the sweet spot for price to performance in efficiency. It ensures you're getting a unit with high-quality internal components that will deliver clean, stable power to your expensive CPU and GPU, which is crucial for their performance and longevity. The final piece of the puzzle is modular. A modular PSU means that all the cables are detachable from the power supply unit itself. This is a huge benefit for cable management. Instead of having a giant octopus of unused cables stuffed into the back of your case, you only plug in the ones you absolutely need. This results in a much cleaner looking build, and more importantly, it improves airflow inside the case. When selecting your PSU, stick with reputable brands known for their quality and reliability. Companies like Seasonic, Corsair, specifically their RM, or RMX series, Be Quiet, and EVGA with their Supernova G series have a long history of making excellent power supplies. It's worth spending a little extra here for the peace of mind that comes with knowing your multi-thousand-dollar investment is protected by a solid foundation of power. Don't think of the PSU as just a box that provides power. Think of it as the heart of your system, pumping clean and stable electrical lifeblood to all your vital components. A 750-watt 80-plus gold modular unit is the perfect choice for this build. It's reliable, efficient, quiet, and provides the flexibility and headroom you need for a clean build today and powerful upgrades tomorrow. This isn't the component you show off to your friends, but it's the one that lets you sleep at night. It works silently in the background, ensuring every other part of your PC can perform to its absolute best. Choosing a quality PSU is a non-negotiable part of a smart, stable, and long-lasting PC build. Last but certainly not least, we need a home for all these amazing components and a way to keep them cool. This is the case, and the CPU cooler. This part is about both aesthetics and performance. You want a case that you like the look of, but more importantly, you need one that provides good airflow to prevent your high-performance parts from thermal throttling and losing performance. For this build, we're looking at a high airflow mid-tower case paired with a 240mm AIO liquid cooler. Let's start with the case. A mid-tower is the perfect size for this build. It's large enough to comfortably fit all our components, including a big GPU and AIO cooler, without being unnecessarily massive. The most important feature to look for is airflow. This typically means a case with a mesh front panel. A solid glass or plastic front panel might look sleek, but it suffocates your components by restricting air intake. A mesh front allows the front-mounted fans to pull in a large volume of cool ambient air, which then flows over your components like the motherboard and GPU before being exhausted out the top and back of the case. Look for cases from brands like Fractal Design with their Meshify series, Lion Li with the Langcool series, or Corsair with the 4000D or 5000D airflow. These are all well regarded for their excellent thermal performance, build quality, and builder-friendly features. Beyond airflow, consider ease of use. A good case will have features like toolless side panels, plenty of cable management channels and tie-down points in the back, and removable dust filters. These things make the building process so much more enjoyable and help you achieve a clean, professional-looking result. And of course, aesthetics are subjective. Pick a case in a color and style that you love. It's what you'll be looking at every day. Now for keeping our powerful CPU cool. While the AMD 7800X3D is quite efficient, the Intel i7 14700K can get very toasty, especially if you unlock its power limits or start overclocking. To handle that heat effectively and quietly, we're recommending a 240mm all-in-one or AIO liquid cooler. This consists of a water block that mounts to the CPU, 2 tubes that carry liquid, and a 240mm radiator that you'll mount to the top or front of your case with 2 120mm fans. An AIO offers excellent cooling performance, often better and quieter than a similarly priced high-end air cooler, especially under sustained load. The large surface area of the radiator is very effective at dissipating heat away from the CPU. This ensures your processor can maintain its maximum boost clocks for longer periods, giving you better, more consistent performance in games and demanding applications. Aesthetically, many people prefer the clean look of an AIO water block on the CPU compared to a massive air cooler tower. Many AIOs also come with customizable RGB lighting on the pump head and fans, allowing you to add a personal touch to the look of your build. Just make sure the case you choose has support for mounting a 240mm radiator in your desired location. Usually the top panel is ideal for exhaust. Putting it all together, the combination of a high airflow mid-tower case and a 240mm AIO cooler creates the perfect environment for our components. The case ensures a constant supply of fresh, cool air, while the AIO efficiently pulls heat directly off the CPU and exhausts it from the system. This synergy keeps temperatures low, which means performance stays high and fan noise stays low. It's the final piece of the puzzle for a cool, quiet, and powerful gaming machine. And there you have it. That is the complete blueprint for a beast of a gaming PC for 2025, all staying under that 1.5 lakh rupees or $2,000 budget. We've paired a top-tier gaming CPU, whether you go for the all-around power of the i7 14700K or the pure gaming focus of the 7800X3D with a GPU that will dominate 1440p and even step into 4K. Everything is built on a modern foundation with a DDR5 and PCIe 5.0 motherboard, supported by 32GB of fast RAM and a lightning-quick NVMe SSD. It's a balanced, powerful, and intelligently future-proofed machine. This build is designed to give you an incredible gaming experience for years to come. The parts were chosen not just for their individual performance, but for how they work together as a cohesive unit. The result is a rig that's powerful, efficient, cool, and quiet. But remember, this is just a template. The best part about building a PC is making it your own. Maybe you want more storage or a different case that speaks to you. Go for it. That's what this is all about. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What would you change? Do you have a different component suggestion that fits the budget? Or if you have any questions about the build process, drop them below and let's get a conversation started. This community is one of the best resources out there. If you found this guide helpful, a like on the video is always appreciated. And make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching and happy building.